Hi, and welcome to Courageous Conversations. My name is Tasha Manzi and Jada Lease, aka JD, aka Toker's Path, aka whatever else you want to be called. It's my honor and my privilege to have her here with me. Our journey started a long time ago when she was a young girl at New Britain High School, and we've kept our connection in some capacity or another all the way into her blossoming into this beautiful woman that she is today. And I'm just so honored and so grateful that she took the time out today to join me. Welcome.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful.
All right. So our topic today is freedom. When I think of the word freedom, you are someone who I look at from afar and realize that that is something that you are living every day. Freedom in yourself, freedom in how you move, freedom in how you inhabit the body that you're so blessed to have in this earth. So my first question is, what does freedom mean to you?
I think freedom for me begins with authenticity. I think that being able to express myself creatively and truly believe in that expression, and not forgetting that I am an example and making a ripple of effect in this beautiful earth. I feel like life is very short. It's super, super precious to me. So my freedom really comes from what I've been through, and the fact that I understand that life is short. So my dad taught me a lot about freedom. He lived a life of for the people, but he didn't take care of his mental health. So I feel like freedom comes from my past history and is tied into mental health and well-being. um so everything that I do comes from the standpoint that we have to take care of our body, we have to take care of our minds, and I will do anything to do that freely. I don't want the pressure of society. I want to make sure that I remain in integrity with my work. And so freedom comes from all of that, and just allowing me to be this creative, crazy, grounded person. And I'm just full of love.
I love it. And I think the biggest piece of that is freedom is up to you. What freedom looks like is on you. And it's all tied back to, like you said, being authentic in who you are, is showing up as you despite what anybody else thinks you should be,
Right,
or any outside pressure of what that should look like. It's you saying to yourself and to pretty much everybody around you, like, I'm going to do this my way.
right,
You may not understand it. You may think it's crazy, but for me, it's not crazy. For me, it is absolute sanity. It would
right,
be insane for me to do it any
right.
other way. And I don't need anybody else
That's
to
that's not even an
understand.
option. I will be like, okay, I'm walking that way, and I don't care if I'm walking by myself. Thank you. Have a good day. Love you. Gotta go.
Gotta go. But do
Right,
you know how hard that is for most people to do? What you're doing and what I'm doing is not something that most people have the courage, because you have to be courageous, because even when you're in those beginning stages of looking for your freedom, you don't know what it is. So when people ask you, you're like, I don't know, I just know it's not this, right?
right,
So it takes a high level of courage to even take the first step.
right. And
So
undeniable faith. I have
it
undeniable faith. Like
cannot.
I can see in my mind's eye everything that is happening. I saw it before it was happening. And that's why sometimes I even surprise myself. I'm like, holy moly, I did this. Oh, let me take a breath because I really did this.
Do you know what I wrote in my journal today as I was thinking about what we were going to talk about? I wrote my truth, and the truth is I am a powerful manifester,
Right,
right? And even when I didn't know what that meant, I was still doing it. Like the coaching job. I knew that I was going to be the head coach of New Britain High School. I knew that with undoubtedly, right? Even when I questioned, like, wait, why, how would you get that job? Like, how in the world would that job just come? And
And
it
you
came.
really stepped into that job like with a force. You came with the flyers clothes. You really owned it. You're like, yeah, this is my job. I belong here.
But listen, you know what the truth of that though is, JD? Because I think that powerful force is just my demeanor. It's who I am in every
Right.
situation. Because truthfully, I was walking into something that I'd never done before. Yeah, I was an assistant coach. I was a JV, but that is not the same
It's not.
as taking over as the head coach of one of the most known athletic schools in the state.
Right.
Right? Those two things do not that did not prepare me for what I was stepping into.
Right.
So I thank God that I have this like I got it attitude. Because at the
Right.
end of
Right.
it, I didn't have
You
nothing.
have to be like that, you know? You have to keep presentation and how you see yourself is everything. That's a part of who you are, you know?
Yeah.
That's a part of manifesting. You know,
Before
sometimes
I
they're
even
just
knew what
like,
it was.
right, right.
Before I
That's
even knew what it
special gift.
was. So my journal entry today was about manifesting, but manifesting also means you're manifesting things that you know not, right?
Right.
So you could be manifesting great things for yourself, and you also could be manifesting things that are not what you truly want, but because you're not clear on it, neither is the manifestation. So sometimes we're manifesting from our shadow or our hurt or our pain. Right. I feel like up until 10 years ago, I was this powerful manifester, but I had no idea what
Right.
that even meant. So I found myself in a whole bunch of situations that I got into, and then I'd be like, wait, but I don't even think I really like this. I don't think I'm happy. Like, this is not it. I thought it was going to be it, but it wasn't, because I didn't understand that. You are young. You are someone, how old are you, JD?
31.
You are 31 years old. And I know it's time and
31
place,
years
right?
young.
31 years,
31 years young.
very young. 31 years.
I'm like, sometimes I'm like 30. I can't believe it.
Do you get your
I'm
age
not
wrong?
living life like a 31-year-old.
You're not. And I couldn't be more excited for you, because if you got this much by 31, I could only imagine where you're going to be when you're my age in 15 years, because I'm 46.
I talk to my boyfriend about that all the time, because even the relationship that I am in, it's crazy, because I feel like I even manifested a male version of me. Like now I'm finally in alignment in a relationship, and I'm just like, oh my God, my kids are gonna be coming out like this.
Red.
I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
Isn't it?
Like, I don't even know. I feel like an avatar.
Listen, so the smile on your face, the glow in your face, it like tells everything. There's a lot of people who are coming to understand this knowledge and this wisdom and these things, but they're still not embodying it yet. So right, you are like you embody it. You embody it. I can see it in your face. I can see it. I can feel it in your energy. And it is so beautiful to watch, because people think it's a woo-woo thing.
No, this is who I am. Like I'm not no guru. I'm not nothing. Like, no. This is why I like to have these conversations, because these are sacrifices that I made. This is not going out. This is not drinking. This is showing up to the gym. Like, this is not my dad telling me, oh, go to the gym still, JD. Oh, my mom telling me, oh, go to work. No, I have to show up for myself constantly. This is a physical manifestation of the decisions that I made. I don't have anyone telling me what to do, you know? And a lot of people, I'm not a follower. That's one thing. Like, we live in a society where people just do the do. I'm not gonna do the do.
They do the
I don't care about the trends.
Right.
Yeah. I don't care.
And it's not even just trends. I don't want to dismiss, because I feel like everyone is on this journey, but it takes a level of courage and discipline and a certain recipe of a few things.
It's the attachment. I think it's the attachments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want to call it trendy.
No, it's
People
a
know what they know. They know what they know. They know what
Right.
they've taught. They know what they're comfortable with. So it's very uncomfortable to look at your mom and say, well, mom, I know that that's what you think I should do, but this is what I'm going to do. And you did that young, it's like, you know that you are who you are because of your parents. Your dad is one of the most known men in our city, right? He's still known. He's left this
Right.
earth, but his legacy lives on, right? So when people look at you, the first thing they want to talk to you about is basketball, right? Like
Like I don't play basketball no more, guys.
Right.
I'm coaching in another way. I'm
Absolutely.
teaching people how to live a healthy lifestyle. I'm still a coach, but not that kind of coach.
Yeah. So, I mean, love that. That's literally the key. You have to just trust yourself and do what it is that you want to do. And I think that you are doing that. I have another question. What do you think your freedom cost you?
Relationships. The big one was my mom. Okay, like I forgave my mom a long time ago, but before I opened up my store, literally like 6 months before I opened up my store, I don't even think my mom remembers this either. But my mom was telling me that I needed to get a job. And I'm looking at her like, Mom, what are you talking about? I'm opening up a store. Like, I just signed the lease. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, Mom, I gotta go. And I didn't talk to my mom for like 4 or 5 months because I was like, I can't even be around a type of person like that. It's not even, oh, I can't be around my mom. It's a type of person. Like, I can't be around anyone who's taking me off of track. So it cost me the people that I love. I mean, your mom's never going to really go anywhere, but there are certain people that I don't even know where they're at. If I look around, I'm just like, where did they go? Missing, gone in action.
Yeah.
So definitely cost a lot of people, but most importantly, I'm constantly shedding my old self. I'm constantly shedding like preconditioned patterns, and that's not easy. Like I'm like to be raised a certain way and to see life a certain way, and then finally have all those walls taken down, and you're just like, and your foundation is cracking right under you.
You hear me?
So that was the scariest part for me. I've always been like this individual, so I don't really need like a lot of people. My sister, I have a twin sister, for the people that don't know, and she fills the voids of like 1,000 souls. I sacrificed everything but that.
Why?
Because that's my other half. She's the reason why I even got to manifest what I am manifesting now. We live this world in a parallel universe before it even happened. So she is my second brain. Forget my gut. She's the second brain. We have this telepathic thing going on,
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
And we're always on the same mission. Like we lead our own lives, and my sister's I'm more out there to the community, and she does things, she's more in the house or whatever, but we lead the same life, So I feel like together our purpose is a lot stronger and our mission is completed a lot quicker, So yeah, everything else could go. I'll even give up my store, I swear. I'm just like, no, because at the end of the day, I know that I can create that all over again. You know what I mean? And I also lost so much. Like people are not. There's certain things that are just not disposable. Like
So you are constantly willing to give up the old version of you.
Constantly,
because that's all you're pretty much saying. I am constantly
shedding
with shedding the old versions of me that are not supporting me moving into these next steps and these higher steps and vibrating higher and elevate, all that good stuff, right? But the one thing that you will never be willing to let go is your twin sister. And it makes sense because you guys connected forever. You probably wouldn't
Exactly.
even have to let that go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's beautiful. That's beautiful for you that there's always one person that you know.
Yeah, they got my back, literally.
Yeah, like in a whole different kind of way.
I don't have to have anything in the world. I don't have to offer anything. My sister doesn't ask me for anything, you know?
Oh,
It's like, just show up and be my sister. That's it. You know,
it's
I
so
have
cute.
one job.
It's so cute, and they look so much like you guys. So if you saw them, they are the epitome of identical twins. So yes, there's things that if you're around them long enough, you're like, oh, that's JD. Oh, that's
Right.
me. But it takes a
Right.
minute. It's not one of those instantaneous, like they could have played the tricks in high school where you go to my class, I go to your class, and we call it a
Right.
day.
We even talk the same.
Yeah. Laugh the same.
Right.
Aw. So talk to
I'm
me
grateful.
about the 5 months with your mom where you guys did not speak. Like, how did you guys was there a conversation or did it just cease for a little bit? And how did you guys reconnect to mend that, connection?
My mom's a great mother. She doesn't force us to do anything. When we're around her, she worries a lot. And that when she was telling me to get a job, it was her worrying. And that's why I didn't understand that in the moment, but in her generation it's, oh, get a job, go to school, you know what I mean? So she's just telling me what she knows, she doesn't know, oh, create your own path, do this or whatever, but she also doesn't, she's not calling me, oh, did you get a job, so she just kind of let us be, and somehow I just show up in her house again and she's just like, oh, welcome back.
Okay. So it was like a natural flow. No one had to step
No,
up, be the bigger person or any of that.
no, even when we fight, like my mom's, she always would be like, oh, come back, I'm sorry, like, did I miss you, like,
So your mom is very aware that her way is not the only way, which gives her the power to allow you guys to
Right.
be. And somewhere in there has to be that she trusts that you guys are going to be okay.
I think that it's her confidence.
Yeah.
It's her but my mom also is very rebellious too. My mom was in the school system, but still did her own thing and stuff like that. So did my dad.
Right.
I think my parents are like rock stars.
Love that.
Like, I'm just like, oh, you guys are just rock stars. Like, whatever, you guys do whatever you want. You know what I mean? You go in the system, you fuck shit up, and then you leave.
So
That's
they
what
are
they do.
disruptors. So they never went along with anything. They were kind of disruptors, which is what you have to be in order to go against something.
Right.
You have to be a disruptor. Right. And I think the next generation of disruptors are gonna be, that's what you're saying. So your parents did enough.
I watched them live a life like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then to the point where now they're looking at me like, oh man, what did I create?
Right.
I don't even know who these girls are, but it's just like, oh yeah, you actually do. You influence this. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So that's the reason why it's like I understand and I'm gonna let you guys live your life or whatever, but I'm still gonna throw in things that I think that is right. Like, oh, go get a job, go do this. You know what I mean? But now now my mom's like, if I don't go to work or whatever, she's just like, Jay, are you going to the store? Like now, you know what I mean? Now she understands that this is my life. But in the beginning, I didn't have none of that,
Yeah. So you had to stand on your own and trust yourself and that you were being guided divinely and supported regardless. So tell me a little bit about the faith part, because the faith part for me, two parts. It was the faith part for me that switched it over to where I knew I would never have to go back. Once you develop and start to strengthen your faith muscle, right? And also once you started getting control of the feelings, right? So for me, it was the feelings. I had a lot of emotions that had been suppressed or not expressed that were like dying to get out, right? And I didn't realize that me not expressing the things that I don't like was allowing those things to lead my life, right? So once you start to feel those feelings and to sit there with those feelings and see what thoughts that they're attached to and all of that stuff, now you're in this overwhelm, this welling, I call it, right? Where you're experiencing all of these emotions. And if you could sit with those long enough and start to understand that they are not you, right? And you start to work through and sift through that and understanding that they just kind of come through, they go, they come up to show us what we don't like. And then we
Right.
say, we make a decision from that feeling. And things for me were like game changers. It empowered me to understand how much control I have over my own life. So what were the things that were like game changers? Like this, once I got this, I knew I had made it to a point where I wouldn't have to backtrack or look back. Like game changers just shifted the whole dynamic of how you live.
I think that when my dad died,
Mm.
when my dad died, I was 25 years old, and like a huge pillar fell down.
Mm.
And my dad was a huge sense of security for me and my sister. So at one point, you think that your parents are literally God. Like I didn't have a understanding of God. I'm just dad, what's this, dad, this. Oh, and my dad was such a brilliant man. So when I lost my dad, I was like, I ascended, but it didn't hit me mentally. So I was like in an ascension, but in a very dark place mentally. I had to like flip my perspective in order to start receiving my blessings, because my dad was a big energy, and he gave me a lot of energy. I literally felt it. Like I absorbed something, and I was like, oh man, like I knew that when my dad died, that my life was going to change. I literally felt it. I was like, oh man, all this oppression that I'm feeling and this depression is going to go away once I figure out how to navigate this new self and this new reality, this new realm. And then I lost David, which was my first boyfriend. A year later, ascended again. And then I met my first boyfriend. He was a little bit older than me, and he taught me what it was to work. I didn't have work ethic. I was always creating, so I had to learn.
But that's crazy to me. That's crazy. I'm sorry to interrupt, but to me, from the outside looking in, the fact that you thought you had no work ethic is crazy to me, because you were one of the hardest working players. So
I didn't have consistency in this new reality. I was very scattered.
Okay.
I showed up for myself because I never stopped training. I never stopped taking care of myself. I just didn't have work ethic in a sense where I got to show up for work. I got to, you know what I mean? Now I go to work every day, 12 to 5. Like, I used to work 12 to 8, but before that, I didn't work. It just was, everything was for myself. Oh, I go hiking, and then I have a time schedule for the gym, I have to eat my shake at this time. So I always had like a schedule, but never something that was making me money. Never something that was like that was gonna help me be self-sufficient.
I don't think that's worth ethic though, JD. And the only reason why I'm harping on this a little bit is I would watch you in the gym in practice, even when your mood was bad, or even when you wanted to goof off. There was something that would kick in. And
my dad used to always say we had heart. He was like, you can't teach heart, and you guys got grit. You're born. He knew that his girls had grit. He was like, oh shit, like he knew that when we were 6 years old.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that's work ethic. Work ethic is
okay. Maybe I'm messing up I didn't have like structure.
Drive. It's drive. I think you had all of the tools But if it wasn't being forced, if it wasn't being focused and channeled in the direction that you wanted to move,
That's
then
what
you
it
were
was.
going to be like this. Well, I'm going
Right.
to take time and figure out me a little bit more.
Right.
I think that that is the most beautiful thing that a person can have, because I'm not shifting and using my energy and the momentum in a direction that I don't want to go.
Right.
And I think before you knew that you were doing that, you were doing that. Because I know you. I know that you have a gear that's like, okay, now I got to get shit done. Let me
Yeah,
go get
no,
it done.
I definitely can turn up for sure.
Right?
That's sometimes people get confused with this all like I don't even know this namaste stuff that they be throwing at me or whatever, and I'm just like, no, I will turn up. So that is true. I just didn't have direction in that sense where and I didn't want to rely on my dad. I couldn't rely on my dad, and I didn't and my first boyfriend didn't want me to rely on him forever. He's just like, somehow he knew that he wasn't going to be here forever because he couldn't match my frequency in that sense. He knew that he was there for a purpose, and he knew that my dad set him for a purpose. He knew that it was very temporary. Sometimes it takes people a little bit a while for them to detach or whatever, but he knew that his purpose in my life was very temporary, and I did too, so he taught me what it was he would literally write on the wall, create, and I'm just like, create, okay, create, and I just literally will be pulling my hair, it's going crazy or whatever, and I'm just like, oh shit. So then I started building a momentum with creating, allowing my expression to come out, because I've never been very an emotional girl. Like it was, I had like a lot of anger inside of me, you know what I mean? So I had expression. I just didn't know how to emote my emotions, because that's what we need to do in order for us to keep flowing,
Yeah.
So I allowed my expression to flow through creativity. I didn't know that I could paint. I didn't know how colorful I was. I didn't know I didn't know all of this until I was a freshman in college. So that creativity came a lot later in my life.
Okay. I love this conversation because it's just taking me all kinds of places.
I'm also really discovering myself through these questions too. I'm like,
can I talk?
This is another thing that I was excited too, because I was just like, I need to know who I was when I was younger. It's starting to click in.
And I'm going to throw this out there, right? From what I'm hearing, because I work with a lot of women. I'm a life coach, so I work with a lot of women, all women, right? So I get to hear things that maybe I didn't have an understanding of that now I can name and claim, right? It sounds to me like the biggest influences in your life were masculine.
Very.
And you met a man who showed you how to, your first boyfriend, dive into your feminine, because creative is all about
right.
That part of you. It's incubating something and like growing something. So it seems to me that the passing of those two strong pillars in your life and the introduction through David of your feminine side has allowed you to now show up in this feminine. Basketball was masculine. Your anger was masculine. All that force. And then you were told to sit down for a little bit and to sit.
Right.
And in that sitting, you have now embraced this feminine part of you that I'm going to speak for myself. A lot of women that I know they know what it is to be female. They know what it is to attract a man with your feminine, but I was never taught what feminine energy really is.
No.
That it is our creativity.
Women are forced to live in their masculine constantly. And that's why we have a whole generation of women who, oh, I don't need help. I don't need this or whatever. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'd be like, oh no, I need help. You take care of this while I take care of that. Like I'm not carrying the house on my back. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I explored that, and now my first relationship didn't know how to nurture that relationship, and now I'm in a whole nother space where I can literally just flourish into my feminine, and now I feel safe. to even be vulnerable and to be a woman and to be like, okay, if I don't want to show up to work today, I don't have to show up to work today. I can work from home. Guys, text me your orders and I'll make it at home and I'll meet you at the store and I'll bring it in from there. Like, I'm not just waiting for people to come see me anymore. I'm in a space where I'm just like, okay, I built my community. I support you guys the way that I know how, and while still being able to take care of myself, because I'm still healing.
I'm so proud of you. Like, I don't even know what else to say. And I always say this, it's not pride like in an ego way. It's pride in seeing how much you've evolved and just being honestly so happy for you.
I'm so grateful. You have no idea. Like, I'm so humble. I know that I live this big, magical, colorful life or whatever. But when I tell you that my appreciation for being seen is, I tell you, I literally bow like people bow to Jesus or to Buddha. Like, I'm just like, I'm so grateful. You have no idea.
You
I
do
don't
know
think
that
I'm better than anyone. I just literally want to be me. That's it.
Yeah. But gratitude is the gateway. Gratitude is the foundation. Because we already brought up foundation. I think gratitude is the foundation to live a fulfilled life. You have to be able to come back to gratitude every day and every moment, because things are not always going to be on a high or cycling up. Sometimes you are stuck. Sometimes you are cycling down a little bit. And if you can maintain a level of pure gratitude, not the fake gratitude that we sometimes did to get through, but to really find your gratitude. There were some days where things were so dark for me that I had to get to the simplest form of, God, I thank you for my breath.
Right.
I thank you for my hair. Like, I thank you. I literally thank you for my mouth. Like, because I could not see past my troubles or the darkness. So I had to really, really, really engulf myself in my light. And sometimes the only light I had was thank you for waking me up today. And that would carry me through enough until I got to a better space in my life. So I couldn't do the fake gratitude. That's what I learned. That fake gratitude where I started saying I'm thankful for my job. I was lying. I was not thankful for I was not grateful for my job. My job was the source of every ounce of stress I had in my life.
You're like, I hate this place.
I hate this place. Why am I lying and saying that I'm grateful to have a job? At least I can pay my bills. I'd rather eat ramen for 5 months straight than to pretend that I'm happy or grateful for something that causes me that much anxiety and stress and all of that stuff. But gratitude being my foundation and really understanding that gratitude are the words that you speak, but it's the feeling in your heart. And once those two things match up, your foundation is strong. Now you can level up. Now you can go to the next level. But you're not going there if you're saying thank you for the job that causes you.
Yeah, right. my boyfriend says gratitude makes things move quicker.
And
when I live in gratitude, that's when I start to time travel, and I literally quantum leaping.
Absolutely.
I'm like, well, I took one step, but I'm a mile back, a mile this way, and people still think that I'm still 3 feet back that way.
If only
like mentally, I'm on a whole nother playing field. You know, just from that simple click of gratitude, you know, and appreciation of living and understanding, like, wow, like this is perfect. I'm in a perfect place right now. The way that I am, the way that I look, the way that I'm presenting myself, it's all perfect. No more negativity.
So gratitude, I can't hammer it in enough. Gratitude is like the foundation, right?
No, for sure. It's definitely one of the pillars of who we all should be, you know?
So what are your other pillars? Because you said your dad was a big pillar, and when he transitioned, you felt like that pillar dropped. So what pillar was built after your dad passed away?
I think that's when my authenticity came in, you know. My dad was crazy, man. And nobody remembered any of the shit that he did when he passed away. So I was like, okay, so people don't really remember. They just remember the good things. You know? It's like all the bad stuff just flies out the window. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, okay, I mean, I don't want to live a life where it's bad. You know what I mean? So let me just focus on the health part. So the fact that he suffered from mental illness, which a lot of people don't really know that my dad was bipolar, you know, and that's the reason why he suffered a lot and lost a lot of things, you know. So I think that's one of my biggest things that is, I don't know if mental illness, mental focus and mental health can be one
Yeah.
of my main focus points. Yeah, I think mental health literally has a whole world in itself, because when I focus on my mental health, that's when I can create a heaven on earth, where I feel like I'm literally bringing heaven down, and I'm in my dominion literally revolves around nothing but what looks like heaven to me. So I feel like mental health and awareness is one of my biggest pillars. My brother suffered from schizophrenia. David had bipolar schizophrenia. So it's just like I'm around geniuses, but are you balanced?
Mhm.
So I used to do research on like what is the difference between someone who's a genius and mental illness, like, and they say that you can literally feel the chemical imbalances happening as it's happening, but do you have the power and the awareness and the tools to actually balance yourself out? I think that they all lack the tools. So I'm just trying to build my toolbox in order to stay grounded and make sure that whenever I do hit these moments where I feel like I'm just like raw flesh, like, oh my God, like I don't have anything, I have certain tools that will bring me back to my center. Because I think that that's the problem with a lot of people who have mental illness. Sometimes they don't have like this center.
Yeah. They've never allowed themselves to even go there, because
Right,
finding your center means that you're facing every piece of you, because it's the only
right,
way to find your balance. So I
right,
exactly what you're saying, because we all, mental health is literally just you taking care of the processes of your brain, and
right,
your brain, your mind, and consciousness versus
right.
subconsciousness. And
Because we're going in and out constantly, you know?
absolutely, but what
We can have an
grounds,
episode. I just don't want it to last 6 months. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
and
I'd rather have a quick one than a 6 month long episode.
that's the measure of your mental health
Right.
for me. So if I know that, for me, a long time, sadness was my battle, right? Is that I could be high and I'm happy, because naturally I am a happy, I love life, I love people, I love to help people. But at the end of the day, when I was sitting down with myself, I called it my river of sadness. That's where I would rest, in my river of sadness. And I had to, why am I sad? Why? What is this thing? Right. And it was always attached to something in my head, ideas, old beliefs, worrying about what other people think. Right. So until I took a good look at myself and got the tools, right? A tool could
Right.
be journaling. A tool could
Right.
be I work out. A tool could be I pray, or it could be a combination of 5 different things. It's whatever works for you.
Right.
And some people don't give themselves, most people don't give themselves the opportunity to sit with those things. They're afraid of those things. They don't understand how important those things are.
Or they
So,
don't think it works.
or they don't think it works. They think they're supposed to suffer. Their self-worth is
Right.
low. They've been abused forever and think that that's just normal, and that's what
Right.
everybody goes through, and you just suck it up and tough it out, and you just keep moving forward, when the truth is it's a hard no.
Right.
We are not supposed to live like that. We are not
Right.
supposed to have a river.
I
of
used to
sadness.
think that I was crazy because I wanted certain things, but then I'm just like, no, I start changing the crazy to, oh no, I'm deserving.
Say it
I am
again.
deserving of this. You just can't fulfill this. So I'm gonna continue. I'm big on walking. I'm gonna walk that way.
You hit another big one, JD. Self-worth.
Right.
Self-worth is, if you don't believe happiness or deserve better, then you just stay where you are and you just endure the pain and the suffering. So we got mental health, we got your faith. Those are two pillars. Any other ones that you think are just the things you go back to, the things that hold you up and make you you?
Right now I'm really navigating through my breath. I feel like my breath is a big thing, like and for me it's like a form of meditation. Like I'm really sitting with my breath. I feel like your breath really holds a lot of wisdom. It shows you where your stress literally lies. Like if we're upper chest breathing, like if we're not diaphragmatic breathing, like I feel like, a lot of people are mouth breathers and they just don't realize that you're literally like tiring yourself out. You're building a lot of cortisol, you know what I mean? So like, I mean, granted, everything comes back to health. I'm like a health nut and a health freak or whatever, but my breath for me is really important because aside from the health aspect, it really is intuitive medicine for me.
So that's what
and it allows me to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So my breath right now is one of my go-tos for navigating just about anything right now.
I can relate because I became certified as a yoga instructor, and I realized yoga for me was not the poses. Quickly. And I already knew the history of yoga. I understand that yoga is just union. It's union, whatever union you want to make, right? It's union between your body and spirit, your body and whatever else. But for me, the breath is what changed things for me. So I remember early in my practice, you tell the kids at the high school, like, because we started dealing with a lot of anxiety and a lot of just these overwhelming feelings that were bigger than the kids could handle. And my first thing I would always say is, stop, come breathe with me.
Right.
Just allow them to just breathe. Breathing allows you to take control of your nervous system.
Right.
Allows that fight or flight to send the signal to your body and your
sympathetic nervous system. Let's relax.
You are okay, because that's literally what breathing is. It's letting your body and your mind know that we are safe, and right now in this very moment, everything is okay. And then I learned that I was a breath holder. I would hold my breath so much during the day because I knew it, because I would constantly sigh. I constantly was like, ah.
Right.
And I realized that I was one of the people that I might not be breathing from my chest, because some people are just constantly, like you said, breathing from their chest, breathing from their mouth and not their diaphragm. But I was a breath holder. I was constantly holding my breath. And then once I realized it and I started putting into practice, learning how to just breathe. Learning how to just breathe is learning how to just be.
Exactly.
And when you focus on just breathing, and sometimes I would literally be sitting in my office saying, inhale.
Right. 1, 2, 3. Exhale.
Exhale. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But it sounds so foolish.
You like therapize yourself. You're just like, okay, like I don't need to go talk to anyone right now. I can literally, I got this. I can handle this one.
Yes. And I taught that to so many people early on in my yoga practice. That was hilarious, because people started saying their reviews of me, well, she taught me how to breathe. I'm like, what? She taught me how to breathe, and I got it, because of my experience. I realized that most of us are not breathing and allowing our bodies to be these safe, beautiful places that they are, as magnificent as they are, because we don't even get the breathing right. Like breathing, we don't have to think about. We're messing that up.
It's like we're so far away from who we are. We don't even know how to breathe correctly.
How insane is that? The thing that keeps us on this planet and alive, we don't even know how to do that properly. We are taking that for granted every day. And it's such a source of medicine and healing, and we just didn't even know. So that breath took me. I told you.
I love watching people breathe. I'm just like, oh my God, they're alive. They're alive. And wow, and just like, okay, just calm down.
Yes. Yeah, and how simply
I connect with I hear you when because I got my yoga certification too, but I didn't really connect with yoga, with the poses and all this stuff, you know. And I'm just like, okay, I felt like yoga kind of took me away from my faith too, you know, because it's like I have to learn a whole nother culture or whatever. So I was just like, okay, I know that I want to stretch and open my body up, and I know that I'm trying to reach a spiritual practice. The breath for me stuck, and now I'm trying to find my own intuitive flow through breath, you know, and movement.
You will. You just have to practice it.
Yeah, I'm like showing up every day, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what move comes next.
You don't have to. I felt like when I did yoga, I did a style all my own because it was truly just me. It was an expression of me. So everything I did was an expression of me, and people could pick up on that. And that level of trust that they would have with me, because they knew, they could feel that I was literally just showing up. It morphed the practice and the sessions into this beautiful thing that I could never replicate twice. Right. I never could replicate.
That's another form of authenticity too, you know?
So you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm navigating through that now, and I'm actually having a lot of fun, you know? I'm just like, oh man. Sometimes I do get a little bit frustrated, and I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the drive. Like when it comes, I feel like I'm like playing basketball still, and it's just like, dude, we're not playing. This is not like we're down 2 points in overtime, and you know what I mean. So I was like, okay, relax.
Exactly. Relax.
Right.
You're already going to be uncomfortable in the poses. That's the whole point of it.
Right.
It's how can I become comfortable in the uncomfort, you know, the discomfort of these poses. And for me, it was not about doing 42 poses in each class. Maybe some classes we only did 10. Right. But in those 10, we sat in those poses and learned how to just be through our breath. So for me, that's what yoga became. And I didn't care what it looked like to anyone else based off of the feedback that I was getting and how people left their feeling. Like you could feel the whole energy of the room shift. Right. You know, that's undeniable.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Yeah, I got this.
Oh, well, it has been an absolute pleasure. And I know, just like with every Courageous Conversations, we took you on a ride. And I like to make sure that people are leaving with something, because we go everywhere. But if I could sum it up, being in the conversation and trying to reflect, because, you know, I'm always trying to stay present, but I'm trying to reflect enough to give you guys something that you could leave with. And I think it's understanding how important your health is and finding your freedom, your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, and finding tools that even when you start to feel like the health is shifting in the wrong way, or you're something's going, there's an imbalance, that you have tools that you can use that pull you back to your center. And to find your center means you're going to have to sit with yourself in some uncomfortable positions, whether it be in yoga or with your breath or with your thoughts or your feelings, but you're going to be okay. Sit with it, figure out if it's good for you or not. If it's not, let it go. If it is, keep it and grow it so you can be free. I
feel like this conversation really brings everything back full circle. And I feel like I'm going to do another quantum leap after this one. I'm like, oh, okay, I got this.
You got this.
Yeah.
And to hear you speak as confidently as you are about your journey, you are very assured. You're very confident in what you're doing. And I am so excited to see where things are going to take you, where this is all going to take you, because I know it is just beginning.
Yes. Thank you so much, Coach. I really appreciate it. You're forever Coach Manzi for me.
I still get Miss Manzi, Coach Manzi, and I look at people like, no, my name is Tasha, right? I'm
like, I'm like, Coach.
Right. And that's okay. I'm okay. Oh, well, I love you. Thank you for your time.
I'm so
Thank you
grateful.
for your beautiful energy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Coach. I love what you're doing. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. I love what you're doing too. All right.
Have a good day.
All right.